Towards the second half of the 2010s and early 2020s, Japanese artists who had dominated the subcultural music scene began to find their way into the public spotlight. Vocaloid producers like Yonezu Kenshi and Ayase from YOASOBI have become the biggest songwriters in Japan, while the voices of utaite like Mafumafu and Ado are now widely recognized by the general public. Somewhere between these two professions stands a unicorn known as Eve, an insanely popular singer-songwriter, Vocaloid producer, and utaite who carved his own path and is now part of some of the biggest anime franchises. In this video, I'm going to talk about the story behind Eve, his incredible rise to fame, and how this multi-talented faceless singer became the face of so many popular anime shows. Despite his status as a subcultural icon, Eve's upbringing was actually molded by 2000s Japanese rock, as he was a fan of bands like Bump of Chicken, Asian Kung Fu Generation, and Red Wimps. His first exposure to the world of Vocaloid didn't come until 2007, when his friend recommended to him a cover of the iconic Hatsune Miku track, Meruto by Haruyoshi. Meruto is made by famous Vocaloid producer Ryo, the mastermind behind Supercell and Egoist. The song played a massive part in popularizing Vocaloid and utaite culture, and was what introduced Eve to these growing communities, which are considered niche at the time. For him, unlike Japanese rock bands, Vocaloid encompasses a wider variety of genres, from your typical rock and EDM to even traditional Japanese music. And depending on the utaite's approach to covering each song, there are even more possibilities of how the end result could sound. This dynamic between Vocaloid and utaite fascinates him deeply, and got him completely hooked on the online space. In 2009, when other high schoolers were busy with their club activities, Eve uploaded his first cover video on Nico Nico, the holy ground of Japanese subcultural music. While singing covers and uploading videos started off as simply a hobby for Eve, as his vocal prowess improved and more people started to notice his unique singing voice, before he even realized it, he was already racking up millions of views and even released his first album at the famous Comic Market in 2014. Perhaps due to his passion for rock bands, Eve was part of several music groups in the early stages of his career, and even released a collaborative album with another utaite. But those projects never really took off and ended within a few years. Still, his popularity grew steadily, and he was able to start hosting live shows at smaller venues. Similar to many utaite, Eve's appearance and identity are not public knowledge. However, since he doesn't go to the extreme of using projections or singing in cages, and thanks to the strict no photography policy, concert-goers actually get to see his face, which creates a special bond between him and the fans. But that wasn't enough for Eve. After a couple of live shows, he started to feel unsatisfied with the dynamic between him and the fans. Up to this point, all the songs he has performed have been covers or provided by others, which made him wonder how the audience sees him. Obviously, they're fans of his voice and how he sings, but this connection feels too shallow for him. What he truly wants is for them to hear the real him through his music, which prompted him to begin writing songs, expanding his talent from a sole utaite to also a singer-songwriter. In 2016, Eve got his first big break when he released his third album as an indie artist, Official Number, which included the hit song, Wakuserup. The song became a hit on the internet and was released as a Vocaloid track by its songwriter, Nayuta Seijin. It was also covered by many popular utaite, further amplifying its popularity. Its relevance lasted for years as it became the theme of a dance trend in 2020. After the album's release, Eve also kicked off his Vocaloid producer career by releasing the Vocaloid version of Sister, one of his self-written songs from the album. As his songwriting talent began to blossom, everything started falling into place for Eve. In 2017, he released Nonsense Bungaku and Anoko Secret, two songs and music videos that perfectly capture Eve's identity as an artist. As a kid, Eve was haunted by a recurring nightmare that traumatized him when he was young. In the dreams, there was always a figure standing at the end of a hallway, staring at him with a single eye. To conquer this memory, he worked with Ma, an animator and illustrator behind many of Eve's music videos, to bring that haunting figure to life and turn him into one of Eve's music video's most beloved fictional characters. As for Anoko's Secret, while there's no personal story behind the song, its catchiness, combined with the incredibly animated music video, made it one of Eve's most iconic songs that introduced him to a wider audience. For Eve, visuals are as important as the music itself. He believes that if you can combine those two elements perfectly, and have them work off each other, 1 + 1 could be bigger than 2. And that applies to live shows as well. The massive screen behind him is another medium that could affect his storytelling, and give the audience the best possible live experience. So even though he's a solo artist, animators are just like his bandmates. Whenever he finished making a demo, he would commission a music video, and from that point on, he and the animator would discuss and adjust their work based on each other's demos until they are both happy with the final product. And that's what separates Eve from the others. Rarely do you see an artist as committed and dedicated to the visual side of storytelling as he is. The sheer volume and quality of his music videos, which not only look gorgeous, but also reflect the music and lyrics, are truly mind-blowing. After the teasers that were Nonsense Bungaku and Anoko's Secret, Eve released his fourth and final indie album, Bunka. It was a major turning point in his career, as it was the first album where he wrote and co-composed every single track. The standout song from the album was none other than Dramaturgy, his most popular song to date that isn't the theme song of a certain anime, and only his second music video to reach 200 million views on YouTube. With such an unbelievable collection of songs, Bunka deservedly claimed the #1 spot on the Indies chart, signifying Eve's long overdue signing with a major label. And that brings us to 2019. Eve made his major debut with the album Otogi, which led him to be chosen as one of the up-and-coming artists to watch. Interestingly, the lineup also includes Kitani Tatsuya and King Nu, who will later make the openings of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 and 3. Soon after the album's release, Eve also got his first taste of anime tie-in as Yamiyo became the ending theme of Dororo Season 2. Only a year after releasing Otogi, Eve dropped his second major album, Smile, which includes Kokoro Yoho, the theme song of Lotte Chocolate's commercial that was broadcast nationwide, and introduced him to demographics who aren't usually exposed to subcultures. Eve then embodied the phrase, "strike while the iron's hot," as he soon moved on to his next project, and that was where he struck gold. On October 3rd, 2020, Eve released KAIKAI KITAN, the opening of the anime adaptation of the popular shonen manga, Jujutsu Kaisen. The anime took the world by storm, and alongside it, its opening. Since Eve is a huge fan of anime and manga in general, as evidenced by his emphasis on visual storytelling, he was naturally an avid reader of Jujutsu Kaisen. So KAIKAI KITAN was a genuine passion project that he poured everything into, from the lyrics in the verse, the intensity of the chorus, to how his voice could fit the darker tone of the song. Eve put tremendous thought into every minute detail, and the end result absolutely justified the time and effort. KAIKAI KITAN became one of the biggest Japanese songs of the year, only behind the likes of Homura by Lisa, Monster by YOASOBI, and Usewa by Ado. By the end of 2021, Spotify also announced that KAIKAI KITAN was the most streamed Japanese song outside of Japan, showcasing the incredible reach of anime and Eve's music. In December of 2020, Eve released his first EP, featuring the aforementioned KAIKAI KITAN and his first movie theme songs, All No Waltz and Shinkai, from the critically acclaimed animated movie, Jose, the Tiger and the Fish. From his unparalleled success as an indie artist, utaite, singer-songwriter, and Vocaloid producer, to now dominating the anime and pop music scene, Eve has firmly established himself as a staple in the Japanese pop and subculture. Following the success of Kokoro Yoho, in 2021, Lotte Chocolate once again invited Eve to create a song for their new campaign. So far, Eve has functioned as a one-man utaite, Vocaloid producer, and singer-songwriter, so this time around, he decided to include a friend, who just so happens to be one of the best vocalists in Japan, Sui from Yorushika. The duo performed Heiko-sen, and this music video was made by a luxurious lineup of staff members who have worked on Your Name, Weathering With You, and later Spy Family and Frieren. Despite his achievement as a mainstream singer, Eve remained a Vocaloid fan at heart, as he didn't forget his roots. So to start off another historical year in 2022, he released his first Vocaloid album, which includes several existing songs and a couple of new additions. Then, Eve's vision of music and visuals working in tandem took form on the big screen. Adam by Eve Alive in Animation is an incredibly ambitious project that combines live footage, live action, animation, and CG into one single medium of storytelling. The hour-long film was shown in selected cinemas and released on Netflix on March 15. Only a day later, the very diligent Eve dropped his third major album, KAIKAI. The interesting thing about this title is that Kai is a reference to KAIKAI KITAN, and Jin means person. Eve realizes that for many people, he is now known as the man behind KAIKAI KITAN, which he fully embraces. So the album title is a self-aware joke and a welcome for people who only know him through the song to explore more of his music. With his popularity only getting higher and higher, he embarked on his biggest tour so far, which saw him performing at Budokan for the first time. To finish off the year, Eve came back with another theme song for one of the most anticipated anime adaptations ever. On December 28, 2022, he released Fight Song as one of the EDs of Chainsaw Man. He and 11 other artists, alongside Yonetsu Kenshi, formed the most staggering lineup anime has ever seen. From 2023, Eve continued to leave his mark on popular anime shows with songs like Bokurano from My Hero Academia Season 6. Teenage Blue from Blue Box. And on April 14, 2026, he released Wind's Anthem for Witch Hat Atelier. The song once again features Sui from Yorushika, marking their third collaboration. However, it was actually the first time that they recorded together in person, so Sui got to direct Eve and gave him feedback while he's in the recording booth. An interesting dynamic they've never had before. Aside from anime songs, Eve also scaled up his concerts, as arena tours became the new norm for him. At the end of 2025, he celebrated the 15th anniversary since he started posting cover videos on Nico Nico as nothing more than a hobby. The journey since then has been nothing short of astounding. Eve became arguably the most popular utaite in Japan. More impressively, his talent as a songwriter, which comes hand in hand with his identity as a Vocaloid producer, is even more highly regarded by peers and fans alike. Aside from his marvelous achievement as a musician, he also created his own fashion brand and produced manga and novels that are based on his songs. Multi-talented almost feels like an understatement when describing this faceless genius. Eve is, meritoriously, one of the most influential singer-songwriters in Japan. His catalog, regardless of anime tie-ins, has been consistently phenomenal. But it's his contribution to the utaite and Vocaloid communities, not just as a content creator, but as an advocate that brings awareness and positivity to these subcultures that will make his name one for the history books. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. This has been Cushion. See you next time.